All right. First time streaming, don't know what I'm doing, believe it or not. Moving out all the stuff. Bear with me. Probably gonna cut this out. Oh, Sky London in the chat. Oh, we're a little high, aren't we? Beautiful. Look at us go. So, we're here testing a few things. We're gonna do this live stream and see how it sounds. Let me know if you can hear me, see me, all that sort of stuff. Sky, see you in the comments all the time, and I appreciate it. Oh man, I really should have my computer over here. Let's move this around. Whoa, it's really fast. Let me let me turn the speed down. So, how you guys doing? How's everybody doing? We have 0 viewers. Love to see it. I hate to tell you guys, this is in a large part a test for this OBSBOT little camera. We've got a lot of tracking things, all this stuff. But I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about just the Micro Four Thirds GH7 slander that's been going on. You know, I love some of these guys talking out here, but it's pretty crazy to say like it's not a professional camera, or there's really no place for it, or it's just like saying it's not full, but it's not full frame as like an argument. You know, the quality that this camera right here, GH7, and the GH6 can provide is kind of insane value. And I think that people really should consider these cameras. Like, I've been thinking about it a lot, and just the value is great. Like, if you can get a G9 II and you don't have to do those long takes where you have to worry about heating, it is a crazy good value for that camera. Like, what else can do? Oh no, someone's coming. But yeah, what else can do 4K 120 oversampled? Like, no pixel bending, no line skipping, 6K almost 60. It's one of those things that I don't know. Like, I think, like, if you want the latest and greatest, if you're going to be in an ecosystem, if you're going to be having those specific requirements, like full frame obviously is a great way to go. But it feels like, to me, like people overemphasize that, you know. Almost every movie ever made in Hollywood was shot on Super 35. A ton of fantastic movies were shot on Super 16, which is significantly smaller than a Micro Four Thirds sensor. And, you know, we all love the full frame look, we all love the full frame cameras, but I don't know, like, the thing for me is this camera, GH7, is like the most reliable camera I've ever used. And it makes sense. It has a sensor that's 4 times smaller than a full frame camera. It's got a fan that's probably 4 times bigger than the ones you see on these new cameras. And yeah, broadcast cameras are way smaller, sensors are way smaller. I mean, look at the sensor sizes that like Star Wars Episode 1 and 2 were shot on. Like, these are tiny sensors, Zodiac, things like that back in the day, and they look great. And so, unless you're shooting in like super low light, super no light, need the most background blur possible, like, this thing is just insanely reliable. I just realized the other day, oh, GH7 is amazing, like the GH5 was and still is, just better. Yeah, I mean, even the GH5, like, you guys all, I'm sure, know Griffin Hammond. He is still, to my knowledge, rocking the GH5 Mark II. He, just for him, that form factor works. The autofocus isn't important. The image quality is great. It's got 4K 60 10-bit, which was the biggest update in that camera. And for me, it's just about reliability. Like I probably am going to get one of these new full frame cameras, but I don't expect it to be as reliable. I expect it to do other things really well. I expect it to have amazing image quality, insanely good heat performances, and just generally be a fantastic image and very useful in those ways, and getting a high-end look and blurry backgrounds and all that stuff. But this camera is, I cannot imagine it would ever quit on me. I know Sean Robinson said in the chat the other day for a different stream that he got his GH7 to overheat in 110 degree weather in Texas in direct sunlight. I've shot very long takes in Chicago heat, which is 90 plus many times. And I've never even got an overheat warning on this. And I use CF Express, I use 4K 60 basically constantly for weddings, because that's another thing. People have been really saying, like, and I get it, they just don't understand the use cases. It's one of those things where they're like, well, who's shooting long takes, 4K 60, all this stuff? And it's people doing weddings, you know? I shoot a wedding ceremony, you know, I've got my camera I'm walking around with, I'm doing my close-ups, I'm getting all the details. I rarely switch it out of 60 because when the first kiss comes, when these reactions come, when I flip around and get, you know, the audience and the crowd, those moments go by like that. Especially like a first kiss, you know, sometimes they're doing the long dip and all this stuff. Sometimes it's done. And it's like, those moments you can't get back and you can't redo. And that's when you need 60. So, let's catch up on the chat. Even in low light, it's awesome with the 1.4 lens. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, people are like, Micro Four Thirds is bad in low light. It doesn't have the best dynamic range, blah, blah, blah. Like, the dynamic range on the GH7 and the G9 II, and the GH6 too, is as good or better than most APS-C like cameras. Geeky Nerdy Techie did a whole video on this, and it's better than the FX30, which is like one of the most popular cameras of all time. It's more expensive, so it makes sense, but it's one of those things where if you need all the features that you could possibly want in a camera and you want it to never ever quit, you can't, in my opinion, do much better for the money than the G9 II and the GH7. The G9 II will quit on you. I had the G9 II overheat, as we talked about. So yeah, hopefully I'm realizing my bitrate is a little bit lower, but you know, we're chilling. But yeah, the 4K 60 use. I want to know if anybody out there else is using 4K 60 like I am. And the things like Indian weddings, like that's all 4K 60, Barat, you know. Sometimes it's like, Barat, okay, you're dancing in the sun, in the heat for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And sometimes you can get, you know, the way I work, you can get these quick clips. Sometimes it's like, just roll, because they want the whole thing and you need clips for the highlight. And so that's where you get in trouble. Coffee time. I just want to take a quick break also to have you guys look into the description of this video. A friend of the channel and a guy who I wish I would connect with more at the Narrowband channel posted a video recently about his ongoing health issues and where he's at with everything, and his wife has made a GoFundMe, and I just want to join in with the Micro Four Thirds community and just point people that direction. If you guys can help him at all, donate at all, like, you know, the last thing you want to think about when you're going through something like this is like the financial side of things. And so whatever you can send over that way, it's super appreciated, like more than you could imagine. So not to bring us down here too much, but it's a real thing, and I've really been amazed by how open he has been with this journey and his struggle. And so yeah, please just click on the links, watch this video if you want to, donate $5 or $10. I mean, some people have been donating like $1,000, which is amazing. So yeah. Also, how's the quality look on this thing? We're on the OBSBOT Tail Air, the cheap one, which I thought was better because it's cheap, you know. I don't know if a lot of people are buying like $1,000 streaming cameras. Oh, let's go some comments here real quick. I use 4K 60 for most things, 5.8K 30 for interviews at weddings. Both are great. Yeah, it just won't quit. Like, okay, and I didn't even finish my thought on this the second ago. I have the thermal, I checked this the other day casually to see where my thermals were at on this thing. I was like, oh, it's pretty hot out. Like, I wonder where it's at. You know, the back's feeling a little warm when I touch it. Let's check it out. And I was like, okay, fan speed. I mean, I guess I could check real quick what the fan speed is. So our fan speed, I was like, okay, let's go check it out. This is riveting, I know. And then I was like, okay, let's check out the thermal management. I clicked on it. I don't know if you guys can see, but my thermal management has not even been moved to high. And I'm shooting hot outside weddings for years at this point with this camera, and I've never even got an overheat warning, and that's with it set to standard. So that was really crazy to me. I guess I should switch it to high just to have it. And that's the other thing. I'm using Angelbird cards, like one of the worst cards from a thermal standpoint, from what I can tell. And yeah, that's just ridiculous. So like this huge fan, people might think it's overkill, but when you're shooting in what I think is one of the most challenging like standard environments, which is like weddings and events, you just never know what you're gonna get. You're never gonna know what the requirements are gonna be, and you never know how hot it's gonna be, if the clouds are gonna be out, and you wanna shoot everything in 4K 60 because those moments go by super quick. Those details and those B-roll, they go by super quick, and even if you're not always using the 60 frames as slow motion, you might, and that is the use of 4K 60. With these new full frame cameras, I'll probably be a little bit more aware of that and a little more mindful of that. But yeah, my brain went blank. So, but yeah, I want to know why you guys think all this Micro Four Thirds slander is happening. You know, it started back when the GH7 had the Auralog C on it, and I was like, why? You're like, it's a gimmick, and I'm like, why is it a gimmick? You know, Breaking Bad was using film cameras and was shooting on a GH4. All these like reality shows and even like Better Call Saul and things like that are using GH5Ss because again, the locked off sensor, the decent image quality, and they didn't even have a log profile or anything. They matched those with like, or they did have log, but like not a raw format. And they were matching, a lot of productions matched GH5Ss with Reds without any official collaboration. So I'm not sure why people think like it's a gimmick because it's a small sensor. Small sensors have value. Small cameras have value. Reliable cameras have value. And we're at a point where sensor size, to me, is not relevant. Like, I really challenge you guys. Like, if you guys have like full frame, APS-C, Micro Four Thirds, or whatever sensors, do you ever choose, like, do you ever like see a scene and are like, ooh, the dynamic range is pretty high, I'm going to use the full frame camera? Like, no one does that. You just have your camera, you use the tool, and the GH6 is like one stop worse than the full frame camera equivalents, like, or maybe a little bit more. Who cares? You know, it's a stop better than the GH5 was, and the GH5 was fine for so many filmmakers. So I don't know, it's a wacky world out here. All right, let's go through some of these comments because, and let me know about the OBSBOT quality. I want to know. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to tell because of the stream quality is not good. GH7 is the best camera out there for vertical. Yeah. OM 12 to 40 f2.8. Yeah, it's, and like this other thing, 4x3, and I'm glad Matthew Deng, you pointed this out, is like the 4x3 is a lot taller than a 3x2, and that is really valuable where it's hard enough to frame especially multiple people or objects or things like that in a vertical video, and so the more height you can get on that sensor, the better. Like, I'm still one of the believers that's like, it's probably going to be a few years just based on how technology works, but we're getting, I think, square sensors at some point. It just makes sense. Let's see. Used to shoot weddings with the G7 back in the day. Loved it. Okay, I gotta say, don't tell anybody, guys, but I'm a certified G7 hater. No, it's a fine camera. It actually was great back in the day, but for me now, it's held its value surprisingly well. And I think everybody should get a GH4 instead, or a GH3 instead. I think just the HDMI cutting out when you put it in a monitor and just little things like that hold it back a bit. But like obviously you can get great images out of any camera. Certified G7 hater. I use 4K 30. Yep. I have more trouble with noise and low light using my X-T5 than my G9 II when I take photos. Interesting. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think we have a good balance of megapixels on these new cameras, and these APS-C are either using way higher megapixels or are older sensors. The APS-C sensors are kind of like, not in the best place, I don't think. 4K 60, no overheating, outdoors in the rain, never had any issues. Yeah, Ken Street cameras, yeah, not a single issue. I just tested the weather sealing out in a unique way on the GH7 at a wedding the other day. I was at a golf course, and I was in the bathroom, and I was like, oh, here's the soap, and I went and sprayed it. My camera was sitting on the counter, and I sprayed what ended up being mouthwash all over my GH7, like 2 or 3 pumps, and I was just like, and I wiped it off, put some water on it, wiped it off, and we're good. Although, keep in mind, guys, your camera's only weather sealed if you have this hot shoe cover. Be sure, leave that on. I mean, I'm sure it's still pretty waterproof, but still water resistant. All right. OpenGate 4.4K. Yeah, man, I wish that 4.4K was better. I mean, it's good, but I'm pushing and I'm emailing, and I know they're aware that people want more frame rates in the MP4 Light. MP4 Light 60 with the full sensor, it might be enough to make me cancel my S12 order. Maybe. I did get it, by the way. Let me know if you have any questions about why. S12 overheating is funny. Body designs are too small for the processor to dissipate. Needs a bigger heat sink. It's just physics. Yeah. I mean, people always talk about like Micro Four Thirds. Like, why are you making these cameras so big? Why are you pushing the dynamic range this big? You can't cheat physics. And now that's true on the other case, where as with Micro Four Thirds, you're limited to like noise and image quality and low light and things like that, dynamic range. But in full frame, the limit is heat. And a lot of people are thinking that what's it called? That stacked sensor is the issue. Those stacked sensors or partially stacked sensors produce a lot of heat. But it still might be worth it. Is it because of these newer backlighted sensors like the GH7 that gives better low light performance? I think the GH7 is backside illuminated, right? I'm not sure. It could just be noise processing. And just newer technology, you know? I mean, back in the day, full frame cameras, people wouldn't take like some of these old Canon full frames past like ISO 800 back in the day, and those are full frame. And that's the other thing that I always was like curious about, and I wanted to ask people who are like huge full frame proponents is like, oh, full frame is objectively, empirically better than Micro Four Thirds, then okay, then use a like Canon 5D. No said. According to Matthew Dang, Lumix didn't add OpenGate 60 on the GH7 due to overheating performance. Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe, but they're letting these other cameras overheat now, and I think they should just give us back that control. And again, maybe use a lower megabits thing like the MP4 Light. I think MP4 Light 60 would be pretty. Oh, my glasses are talking to me. I think MP4 Light would be a great option. So, message redacted, retracted. 4K 120. I really don't use 4K 120 that much. I'm a guy who listen. 4K 120, when it hits, it hits. But it is great, and I love having it for sure. But it's also like the most overrated camera spec possible. But it's great. Oh, whoa, wait, I didn't read the whole comment. I use 4K 120 with a 360 shutter angle for time lapse. I can choose the amount of motion blur in post and also do a speed ramp from 10x time lapse to 4x slow motion if something happens. That sounds crazy. Ulrich, if you could post, like, can people find examples of that on your channel or somewhere? I would think people would be interested in seeing that, and that sounds like kind of sick. Like, imagine like a time lapse going into like a 4x slow motion shot. And that's the other thing that I think people don't understand is, like, when you get to 4K 60, 4K 120, your shutter speed can be a lot more flexible. You can have a super narrow shutter angle. You could have nearly a 360 degree shutter angle. And because it's so abstract with the slow motion, you can kind of get away with it, I find. And so, like, I use shutter speed a lot because I'm started on the Canon T4i Rebel. And if I'm in 60, I'll use anywhere from 1/60th of a second to 1/200th of a second, or 1/250th of a second. And I think that it looks pretty good. Like, it's slow motion. The effect in general is better than that perfect performance. I actually use like probably like 180 and 160 them, or 180 and 1/100th of a second the most, because it's kind of halfway between 24. Oh my gosh, I hope it's not so loud. Maybe I'll turn on some noise reduction, see how that sounds. We're also using the new Comica mics, and I really love the user interface on these, and the price is crazy. All right, low noise reduction was just activated. Let me know how that sounds. There's a dump truck out there. What was the question? Oh yeah, there wasn't a question. I was just ranting. So basically, whether I'm going to use it as 24 frames or as 40% slow motion, 160, 180, 1/100th is kind of in between both. So neither are going to be perfect, but both will be decent. At least that's my theory. I want to make a whole video on that. Okay. Also, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, guys. S1 Mark II questions, GH7 questions, anything like that. And again, remember to check out the links in the description to support the Narrow Bandit channel and his ongoing battle with some of these health issues. So please check that out. Donate if you can, please. So, quick from Android Tech. Do you think the GH6 will get another firmware update? No. Sorry. Yeah, probably not. Like, the GH7 is barely getting firmware updates, and I love the GH7. It just has so many missing menu items that are just like randomly gone, that were gone from the GH6 back in the GH7 or in the GH5. It makes very little sense. But I know the camera didn't. I feel like the camera probably didn't sell that well. I have a feeling that the G9 II and the GH7 sold pretty well. But I really doubt, outside of like minor bug fixes, they're going to spend a lot of resources updating the GH6. But it is a mostly complete camera too. Like, people always talk about the GH5 being like this bastion of like firmware updates, but half the firmware updates were like fixing stuff that was broken or adding stuff that probably should have been there in the first place. I think the GH6 is a lot more of a full-fledged camera. But I'd be curious, like, obviously I would love some updates. Let me know if you guys have any updates in mind that you would want. I could think of a ton, for sure. I hope the GH8 has internal RAW CDNG, like an MFT, Sigma FP. Why did that feel like it rhymed so much? Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. Internal RAW is already on the GH6 and 7 ProRes, but I guess you're wanting like Cinema DNG. All right, we'll see. I don't know what the restrictions are on that. Yes, Android Tech. Panasonic has not abandoned them, I don't think. I wouldn't put it like that, but you certainly could. Is this camera too far away, by the way? Is it too high? That seems too close now. Listen, in the future, guys, please censor the word Sony on this channel with an asterisk. I'll show you guys how. This is how we type Sony on this channel. Because, like, it might as well be a slur at this point. Like, you know, Sony, we've got the reptilian skin tones. We've got the autofocus that is worse than nothing, to be honest. Like, I've seen Sony IBIS look rough on a gimbal. I've seen shaky tripod footage from Sony IBIS. You look at Geeky Nerdy Techie's tests, and you turn on and off Sony IBIS, and it looked better off. You have to use an entire massive program to process individual clips to make Sony footage stable. It is... Wait, oh, wait, I'm just kidding. I'm mostly... This is all a joke. I mean, everything I said was real about Sony. But yeah, I thought it would be a funny joke forever on this channel to just censor the word Sony like it's, you know, a bad word. Which it is, but I mean, obviously every camera's great. Color science is objective. FX3, FX30 look cool. I'm just not interested in Sony at all. Yeah, people are saying, why don't you have a Sony? Why don't you shoot Canon? Being surprised that you're shooting Lumix. It can be relevant because you do see posts a lot where people are like, Sony preferred, Blackmagic preferred, Canon preferred. You never see Lumix preferred, unfortunately. Wish they brought the ability to record 5.7K and 120p using the Shinobi. Is that not possible? Well, first off, the Shinobi is not a recorder. I guess you probably mean the Ninja. I don't know. I'm curious. I actually don't know. I usually record to the internal SD cards. Zahid, some reviewers reported the GH7 Bootup issue. Yeah, it takes a while, and there's a delay in the boot up. There's a delay in the recording. That was also true on the GH6. I don't know why it is. I haven't ever heard what could be causing that. I don't really have any theories other than, you know, the dynamic range boost, maybe having to compile those images really quickly, things like that. And I tested it. It actually turns on. I think it turns on faster than the GH6, but the record delay is actually slightly worse, which is frustrating. I don't know. The boot up time is actually good for me. Let me turn it off and wait a little bit so it has time to reset. Kate. Hello, Kate. Hello, Kate. I know we emailed a little bit. I'll get back to you, but I got a ton of stuff going on, and I don't want to waste the opportunity. One reason I have two FF Nikon full frame is because they are so good with firmware updates. They are updating the Nikon Z5, which was cheap and is 5 years old. They seem to care about their customer base. Yeah, and I still feel that way about Lumix. I just feel like their cameras are more complete now, you know? People said the same thing about the S1H. They're like, where's the S1H firmware updates? And it's like, yeah, that camera was like basically complete right out of the box. Got some minor stuff, I think. And then the GH7, GH6, like the GH6 has been a little abandoned. And again, it's still weird that they had so many things missing from it. But the GH7 is really solid. Also, let me know, guys, by the way, the noise reduction. Is it good? Let me turn it off. This is no noise reduction. Oh my gosh, the dump trucks are crazy. And then noise reduction's back on. So anyway, let's test the GH6 boot up time. That seemed pretty quick. And then let's try the record time. Boom. Cut. And then if you record subsequent clips, it's like a lot faster. So it's like it's already processing, or I don't know. It's very strange. I should send some emails about that. Ken, it needs longer to boot up because it's a beast. True. Do you know how long some Red Cinema cameras needs to boot up? 20 seconds. Yeah, I know. Like, I think the record delay is worse for me. Like, boom. Now it's recording. Boom. And it's recording again. So the subsequent is better. Yeah, the recording delay is frustrating at weddings and events for sure, where there is a bit of a delay, especially when you're like trying to edit in camera. The noise reduction of your mic is pretty good. Thanks, Ken. I leave it on light. If you turn it on high, it sounds really weird to me. But it's so great that you can just like swipe over and see all these little settings. I'm definitely gonna do a video on this Boom X, but it's like probably the best value mic you can get. And so yeah, there's a low. This is a high noise reduction, which I think is gonna sound pretty whack. And then it's off, and I'll leave it on low. So yeah, the boot up time, not the best, but I don't care. The record time, especially because it's worse than the GH6 by like a fraction of a second. I tested it. So that was a little disappointing. I wish they would have fixed that. So yeah, I wonder, this streaming setup is interesting, right? Is it distracting to have an AI? I feel like if I was in a studio and like walking around and stuff and showing you guys stuff, it would be better. But once I get my new apartment in August, new studio, get ready, guys. Studio tour. Okay. Oh yeah. So okay, before we get to that, come on. 10 street camera says the noise. Maybe that's why it takes a second. I don't know. Oh wait, the noise reduction. I keep reading the first line of the comment like there's nothing else after it. I'm probably going to stream till 1, by the way, or maybe a little bit before if I run out of stuff to talk about. Anyway, Sony, Gear Fatigue says, Sony has an APS-C mount size that barely covers the full frame, and it was before IBIS was really prominent. No wonder they have issues. Yeah, I feel like they kind of pigeonholed themselves. And I feel like Lumix is a lot more forward-thinking than that. That's why so many of the Micro Four Thirds lenses and the full-frame lenses support phase detect autofocus, which people told me for years was impossible. But yeah, they were like, it's impossible, you can't do it, the lenses weren't designed for it, and then boom, it worked. Some of the older Micro Four Thirds lenses are a little whack, but for the most part they work great, especially the Leica lenses, the 10-25, the 25-50. And it sounds like Sony just didn't have that forward-thinkingness that Lumix has pretty much always had with just everything. Like, I think Lumix is so underrated with how many innovations and things they've either invented outright or popularized. I have a whole video on that, actually. Oh yeah, the Voitlander question. Have you ever used the Voitlander Nocton lenses on the GH6 and 7? I have the 1.17.5 and it's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I've used them quite a bit. At a certain point, I updated my Voitlanders to the Mitakon lenses, cine lenses, because I just do more cinema work. But they are awkward to take photos with, so the Voitlanders are a little bit more of a hybrid and they look nicer. But you have to gear them up and stuff. I wish they were a little sharper, but I have a review on the 17 and 42.5, and I still have the 10.5 because the Mitakon lens's widest focal length is 17.5. And the Voigtlander 17.5 is way better, first off. But they don't have anything wider, so the Voigtlander 10.5 is truly like a lens in its own category for me. Like a 21 millimeter, ultra, like super wide, super fast Micro Four Thirds lens is beautiful. I had the 25 for a little bit, didn't love it. I think the I think the Mitakon 25 is better, and the rest are kind of a wash. But they're great lenses, super great. I love the close focus. It's so amazing, even if the image quality is, you know, very soft. But they're great. Guys, I need to test the Voigtlander 29 millimeter f.8, but it's so expensive. I'm gonna need a few more subscribers. Also, how many likes do we have? We have 5 likes, 22 viewers. Oh my lord. Feels like, okay, Sky's confirming that the Voitlanders are great. 42.5 is great, for sure. EH Films did, yeah, if he's who I'm thinking of, yeah, he's got a great review, although it could be better. Could be better. I mean, not better, but there's a few things that I would have wanted to see more footage of that I didn't. Red 35 has a great review as well, but those are basically the only two. Voitlander doesn't work with anybody. They really don't send stuff out. I feel like YouTube reviews could benefit in general if they made more short films or music videos to demonstrate their gear. Just an aside. That's my biggest. That's my biggest thing, is that, like, listen, I made videos on Gerald Unone. I met him at NAB. He's nice. The basement testers, the house testers, the studio controlled environment test chart people are good and useful. An important part of, they find so many issues, I need to say first off, with these cameras before they get released, that there is a ton of value there, but you can't just watch them. You have to find people that shoot music videos, dance, plays, weddings, use these cameras in the real world. And even though I don't have that many subscribers, I go out of my way to find shoots that I can do for sometimes a reduced rate so I can use the footage. I work for companies doing weddings that let me use the footage. I'm trying to do more work for my own companies to a large degree, so I'm allowed to use the footage that I shoot, because in the real world you find flaws way faster and you discard stuff that doesn't matter, like full frame. Like, I shoot with a guy who shoots on the C80, Canon R5 or R6 Mark II, professional, sometimes cinema Canon cameras, and I shoot with my GH7, and he says the footage looks beautiful. It's a crop, it's a tiny sensor, but these lenses, the skills that I have, and just the experience that I've got shooting these types of events outweighs any sensor size advantage that I might have. Sure, there's some stuff that this can't do, or it's harder for it to do. Getting a full frame 1.8 look on this camera is tough. I need my Mitakon lenses, and they're super quirky, and they're not as sharp, and they're manual focus. But outside of those really niche things, the ultimate low light performance, the ultimate background blur, this camera, this lens, and its bigger brother, it just doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And if this can cut with a C80 and a C70 and an R5 Mark II or whatever, yeah, it just doesn't matter. Okay. I keep the Voits at 1.4 as they are way sharper. Yeah, I really save wide open on the Mitakon and on the Voitlanders for dreamy stuff, the stuff that's okay to be dreamy, short films and music videos. But I talk about this in my video, if you guys want to stop over and watch them, how the Voitlanders are kind of two lenses in one, because at 1.4 too, they are sharp, clean, commercial, neutral lenses with admittedly some octagonal bokeh. But wide open, they are vintage, creamy, dreamy lenses. And I love that duality. You know, some people might not love it because there's color shift and style shift, and oh, I'm doing a gimbal shot, I want to stop it down a little bit. Then you have an entirely new characteristic of the lens to deal with. But outside of those little situations, it's cool. Like, yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't want to go on a huge rant. OBSBOT is bad as. Congrats with the collab. Yeah, I'm working with them, and oh, someone's got the, okay. Yeah, I'm working with OBSBOT. I got the tail air. I talked to them at NAB. I was talking with them before NAB, and I appreciate them being patient with this review, because this is a great little camera. It's like live stream control. I've been using it at weddings. Like, the bride comes in, double tap on the screen, and it follows her as she walks down. Because when you're shooting solo weddings, that's probably the toughest part of the wedding day, is you want to get the groom's reaction, but you want to get her walking down the aisle. And so one way to do that is 4K 60. get her walking in, whip around, get his reaction, whip around, get her walking back in, and because you can stretch out that time to like 40% slow motion, you have room to cover that in the edit, especially with the dock edit where you can't cut stuff out. But with the OBSBOT, I've been setting it up, putting it in the back. It's just a wide shot for people entering in. And then, oh, I think I did a gesture. I think we're back. Okay. But when people are coming in, just leave it, leave it, leave it. And then, you know, you can double tap the screen to enable human tracking. So she comes in, you see her, bop, bop, double tap, and she walks in and it's really smooth and great. So, okay. So now, uh-oh. We're back. I thought the tracking stopped the stream. But yeah, if I wanted to talk about this lens, for example, I could just draw a box around this lens and then it'll follow the lens. So it's actually been great. You might have noticed it in some videos. I've got like this moving camera sort of effect. And that's because I've enabled this. Uh-oh, you're seeing my setup. So yeah, let's cancel that. And we're back. So yeah, kind of useful. It's like, so behind the scenes, this is basically a camera and a camera operator baked into one. Now it's not as flexible, doesn't have feet, can't move, but weddings, events, live streaming, behind the scenes, you know, I can just say hi and it'll follow me around for a photo shoot or something. I think it's really cool. Which color using when filming weddings? Could you be more specific? Like what, with what camera? The OBSBOT, the Panasonics? Let me know. Probably Panasonics, but we'll see. Rhett, have you figured out how to set borders on OBSBOT Start app? I don't know what that means. Could you explain that a little bit more? David? Bueller? I have 3 beverages here, by the way. 2 cups of coffee and a water. GH7. So if I really want some specifics, I use it a lot. But as a, yeah, my internet is not good. Sorry, David. Oh no, no data? Oh no. I think we're back. I had a no data moment. Okay, so hopefully it's working now. It looks like it's working. Codecs on the GH7. So for the vast majority, to be honest, for most weddings I do, yeah, for most weddings I do, I'm using MP4. Now there's risks with MP4. It can't be repaired with the repair tools that Panasonic provides because it just can't, unfortunately. It has lower bit rates, but this is actually kind of a great thing. Now, maybe my A camera, I'm doing my B-roll and all this stuff with, I can sometimes use MOV, but the extra record times and the extra storage space that the MP4 modes provide is incredible. Track to the edge of the stage and pick up when the next subject is in frame. David, please send me an email about that. That sounds great. So yeah, MP4 is super efficient, 100 megabits per second, 10-bit still. You can do 4K 60, 24 and 30, and it cuts fine with every other footage. So maybe sometimes I'll do my A camera for like 4K 120 or 5.7K 60 or whatever, just to get more resolution or make it look better for YouTube and things like that, and for the highlights. But when we're getting to the events of the day, the ceremony, the receptions, the speeches. Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, the MP4 audio is not as good for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if MP4 doesn't support 32-bit float in these newer cameras either. Oh my gosh, I missed Luke's. I almost swore. Luke Brown, thanks for stopping by, brother, and for the $5. Pounds. 5 quid. Very sad to get caught up in the pressure to move to full frame. I miss the weight, versatility, and agility of shooting Micro Four Thirds. Too worried to move back now. Luke, come on back. Like, depending on what you do and depending on what you'd be using that for, the door is always open. Please come back. We miss you. Get the watch my video on the GF3. Watch my video on the GX85 when it drops, or the G100. Get a GH5 or a GH5S. These small cameras with great codecs, great image quality, like insane battery life. Like, it's just I think there's a place for a Panasonic Micro Four Thirds camera in any Lumix shooter's kit, especially if you shoot multicam or you want something smaller or whatever. Get a 12 to 60 Leica or the 12 to 60 Lumix or the 9mm. You know, like, that's for me why I can never see myself fully moving to full frame. It's just the rock solid reliability, battery life, features, and small lenses. You know, like, I never talked about this on the channel. I sold my full frame 7200 to get the Leica 35 to 100 because that 7200 is such a specialty lens for me. I never use it except for the 2-shot of the couple at a wedding ceremony. Oh, I stopped striking again. If you're a hand talker, OBSBOT could be a little spicy. So yeah, a full frame camera is great. They have real benefits. They have real uses. They are really solid, and everyone makes a great one, especially Lumix. But having a GH7, a GH6, a GH5S, a GH4 as a C, D, E camera, having a GF3 or GX85 or G100 as a street photography, point and shoot, fun camera. There is a million reasons to stay or go back to Micro Four Thirds, even if it's not. Uh-oh. Bad audio. Hey, listen. We're on the porch. The internet's not good. If my studio / room was a little bit cleaner, we would be in there. And in the new studio, maybe we'll stream all the time. Seems like this has been a successful stream. I love you guys, like, comments and like the conversation. This is why I started this channel in the first place, and man, it's been a fun ride. And yeah, orange. Let's go back a little bit. Full frame sunk cost fallacy. I don't think it's a sunk cost fallacy. Full frame cameras are great. But yeah, Luke, buy the cheapest. I challenge you. Go to MPB, KEH, or eBay. Buy the cheapest Micro Four Thirds camera you can get. In my case, that was the GF3, which I bought for $70. Get a cheap lens, or like at least a decent lens. Get the 14mm, get the 20mm, get the 15mm. Just start point and shooting. If you're a photographer at all. I can't remember how much photography you do. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. This has been so great, guys. I'm going to do this way more often. 35 to 100 has an internal zoom. True. Although, the stabilization of that lens is a little wacky. So many Micro Four Thirds lenses have such nice features. Focus clutch, or weather sealing, or optical image stabilization. L-mount lenses make me sad. That's the thing. I've been talking about this a little bit actually. L-mount lenses are, this is the big difference. L-mount lenses are super consistent. They're really good video lenses. No focus breathing, great optics, but not too sharp so it looks too clinical. But they're all, with a few exceptions, just like really well done standardized lenses. There's no feathered bokeh like the Olympuses. There's no weirdo pro zooms like the 10-25. There's some weirdo zooms, but they're more like prosumer stuff. So, in the Micro Four Thirds, there's so much experimentation and wacky stuff, and Olympus 12-100 or the super zoom telephoto wildlife lenses or things like that. Yeah. Aside from, so this is from Vector. Aside from color output differences, do you think the GH6 would be a suitable camera to pair with the GH7? Absolutely. My go-to wedding setup, so like imagine you're at a wedding reception. I'm your videographer. I have a tripod. Here's the GH7, and here's the GH6 clamped underneath of it. GH7's a close-up on the couple. GH6 is my wide shot, and then I'm usually walking around on a gimbal with the S5 II, soon to be the S1 II. And if you have something like Cinematch, I've actually usually convert my GH7 and S5 II to GH6 color space using Cinematch. So if you're that worried about it matching, there is a little bit of difference. The GH6 is the best color Lumix has ever done. GH7, some dude says GH7 is amazing, as is my GH6, my favorite photo camera. Camera Conspiracy just doesn't like it because no slow-mo autofocus. Yeah. I mean, it is 4K 120 phase detect. Just has no subject tracking. Thanks for saying my audio is great or good. Yeah, I mean, this is not an ideal streaming setup, y'all. Trent says, I have a GH5S. I don't want to buy the DMW XLR due to its size. Contemplating getting a iRig 2 XLR preamp plus 48 volt. I can't really recommend anything there, Trent, because I totally, yeah, I totally record everything externally now. Like, sure, I'll use something, like, shout out to Comica for sending this out. I'll use this. I'll put it into my camera in case, you know, I'm lazy or if it sounds good enough or whatever. But in general, because these have 32-bit float recording, I have a 32-bit float audio recorder for interviews. I can put a boom in there. I can, you know, go to the DJ for a wedding. I don't record internal audio like ever anymore. I used to all the time. I had the XLR1. It's a good thing. It's a good attachment, but yeah, I can't really recommend. Maybe somebody else in the chat can help you out. No, some dude. The GF3 is not $300. The GF3 is legit like 110 bucks, USD. No tariffs on that thing. David Rose, sweet. I should have kept the GH5S. It doesn't have an OLEF, does it? The GH5S is the most confusing camera ever. No one knows what the base ISOs are. No one knows if it has an OLPF or not. It's very confusing. But it is great. I love my GH7 and G9 and G9 Mark II. Thank you for dispelling some of these Micro Four Thirds myths. Thank you. I should do more of that. New comp visuals. That's some dude. I think it was Camera Conspiracies is why I didn't get the GH7. I kind of wish I didn't listen. Been buying and selling cameras limbo. New comp visuals, yeah, it's a real thing. Like even me, like getting these small cameras, I've been trying to stick to buying cheap / affordable stuff. If you get into vintage lenses or these cheap manual focus lenses like that 7 Artisans 10mm I just reviewed, you kind of scratch that itch of like wanting something new and to play with without spending like $3,000. I think you just need to identify what your main camera or cameras are going to be for work stuff, if you're using it professionally, and then figure out what else you might need in your life, whether it's like an everyday carry, street photography, fun point and shoot sort of thing, or whatever it might be. But also, no one listen to Camera Conspiracies. Like, he tells the truth. He's super honest. He points out real stuff, but it's also a comedy channel. It's like listening to Uncle Roger for like food advice. Although, I'd probably listen to Uncle Roger for food advice over Camera Conspiracies for camera advice. Almost out of coffee, y'all. All I need. Wait, let me make sure we're good. All I need after the GH7 and G9 II is a Micro Four Thirds S9 with G9 II specs. Some dude, when you're right, brother. I've got a few ideas that I think would work great for a small Micro Four Thirds camera. Limit us to 4K, 4K 60 if you want to. Make sure it has V-Log so it can be used to cut with the other cameras. But yeah. There's Micro Four Thirds cameras that are 10 or 15 years old selling for $1,000 when they released at like $1,000. Like, they say that there's not a market for it. I cannot believe that in my heart of hearts. The guy that only cares about street creep videos with high frame rate and AF. The new 24-60 is the closest Lumix has gotten on full frame to outside the box. A great lens though. No, I think they've done a little bit more. Like, it's not as flashy, but the 100 millimeter macro is cool to be in that form factor. The 18-40 is like such a crazy wide angle lens. And then they really, I think, thought outside the box on the 26 millimeter kit lens. Maybe too far outside the box because it was not popular. David Rose, got to get back to work. Hey, send me an email. I would love to talk more. He was bashing the GH7. His only complaint was his 5000 Canon does slow motion better. Haha. Okay, if that's worth the extra 3000. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was talking about. I made a video years ago on Gerald, his review on the GH6. And I said everything he said, and I'm going to say the same thing about Camera Conspiracies. Everything he said about the cameras are legit. He's correct. There's issues. It's a small sensor. There's limitations. But the difference is this is a $2,000 camera. The G9 II is even less expensive. The GH6 is even less expensive than that. And if you need those features, you don't care about the ecosystem, you don't care about upgrading anytime soon, and you don't care about super low light, the value of this thing is insane. It's hard to describe how amazing this thing is just to use if you don't care or know about all these other beautiful $6,000 cameras in the world. Hell yeah, I'll get a GH6 to go with my GH7 next. And if you want to even save a little bit more money, the GH5S is pretty great too. The reason I got the GH5S was because I had a GH5 and all the great features of it were being wasted on a tripod, which is where that camera lived for the most part. So yeah, GH5S or GH6 are incredible B cams, especially if you get Cinematch to really match them up perfectly. Oh, I didn't finish it. Oh yeah, saying thanks for mentioning Cinematch. I think I'll be using it to match my Panasonic colors to look like my EM1X colors. Hey, Vector, use RT Film or Films. Check some of my videos. There's a discount code for 10% for all Film Convert items. So please do that. If you buy it, like it saves you money and it gives me a commission. And you can play with what looks better, the EMX or the GH6 or whatever. Orange, I'd sell my GH5S for like 300 bucks. It's a bit old, well used at this point though. Really like my G9 II, and it's been pretty solid for indoor interviews, 4K 24 to be fair. Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about the G9 II, the situation I was in. I think I talked about it in my video if you guys want to watch it. There's wind now, by the way. I hope it's not messing with I was shooting an Indian wedding ceremony, like not any of the big ones, just like in a house or something. And in those situations, it's inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside. And when you go outside, the inside camera's on a tripod. My camera I was operating was the outside camera. So you have to like follow them and capture the whole thing. In retrospect, maybe I should have switched to 24, but again, you might use some of those clips for a highlight reel. And so you're in 4K 60, you're outside, and yeah, my camera completely overheated. I was using USB-C and HDMI and all this stuff, so everything to make overheating worse. But I literally put an ice cube. I put the camera down like this. I opened the screen. I put an ice cube on it from the cooler, and that helped. And then I took off all of the gear and rigging, and that was why I didn't use that camera, because like I think shooting 4K 60 without all that stuff wouldn't have been a big deal. I never had it overheat after that, and I did use it until the GH7 came out, but yeah, it was tough for me. Kate Savage, great name also. Never said it, but it is. I wish Panasonic MFT would have a built-in ND. Yeah, I know, everyone wants it on the S1H2, whenever that comes out. But I feel like if it's possible in that camera, it has to be so much easier to do for Micro Four Thirds, right? The sensor's, nice voice crack, the sensor's 4 times smaller. So like, I don't know. I feel like it would be so easy. Like, take the shutter out. We don't need it, really. Put a fast sensor in here, take the shutter out, give us an ND that you can just, you know, where would the wheel be? I don't know. I think it should be possible. I hope they do it. I did buy my first censored the Sony. We're censoring Sony now. Self-censor everybody. The ZV-E10-2 for 750 used. It's pretty fun to use. Just did 2 music videos with it. However, the skin looks plastic. Yeah, the only Sony camera I've ever used was like the ZV-1, maybe? Was that their first one that they came out with? Yeah, and like it was fine, it was great, but it never looked good to me. And I know it's a small sensor, but yeah, I just, something about the Sony look just is not for me. I can always tell. Oh, sorry, the camera I was just talking about was the G9 II. The G9 Mark II overheated on me. Hopefully that helps. Sorry about the audio cutting in and out. There's a brick wall. Yeah. Space Lord, we need to apologize to the GH6. Go for it. I don't know what we need to apologize for. Maybe the slander. Ulrich, I think MFT needs a new low-cost sensor. OpenGate 4K 30 from the full sensor and PDF would be great. Maybe. I feel like just... Yeah, is that the limiting factor people think? Is the limiting factor the cost of the sensor? Because I've thought about that, but still. Come on. Come on. They could do it. If the GM5 is selling for like $1,000, they can get this new camera to like just sell it for like 15. They would do it. I would do it, maybe. Some dude. CC is great. I have a Panasonic Pony of Hope t-shirt. He knows he's nuts. I appreciate his latest video on Panasonic needing to do another small camera. I didn't know he made that video. I'll have to watch it. He's funny. Like, I don't have a problem with him. Some people really do, but it's a comedy channel. It's funny. There's truth in it, just like all comedy, but it's comedy. Have you used OM? I get tempted, but I can never get myself to pull the trigger, thinking about the EM1 Mark II or 3 because I've heard they've got great build quality and are similar photo quality to the OM1. Yeah, that could be a great option, especially used. I used the OM1. Olympus sent it to me. I never made a video because I was like, holy heck. I couldn't use it professionally because the video quality was a little bit hard to understand and a little bit of a mixed bag. And I matching it up and all this stuff, it was just a hard camera to fully understand enough to make a video on in the short amount of time I had it. So feel like I kind of burned a bridge with Olympus. I mean, I don't think they really care, but I doubt they'll send me anything else. Maybe I should try. But I love the OM1. The photos were amazing. The autofocus was great. I really love the OM1. Can't speak on those other cameras, though, unfortunately. FX6 does have auto ND for going inside and outside. Wish Lumix would get an internal ND. True, but as far as I know, no one's done it with IBIS, and I would prefer IBIS. Your mileage may vary. I would like both. But you know, you can't always get what you want. Which camera was you talking? Oh yeah, I'm talking about the G9 II overheating. Box cameras and professional broadcast camcorders can record for a long time. Small sensor, internal NDs. Even big sensors, because the camera bodies are bigger and they have less going on, and yeah. Yeah, as a tripod camera, the GH5S might be very good. I'll double check the spec list. Thanks for mentioning the code RT Films. I'll be sure to use it. Yeah, use RT Film or RT Films. All the descriptions of my videos will have it in there, so just check that out. As far as the GH5S, there's limitations, you know. The MP4 modes are all 150 megabits per second, so the file size is a little bit bigger. The noise is really good, probably even a little tiny bit better than the GH6, but it can't do 4K 60. The open gate is a little bit lower resolution, even than the GH5, because it's only 10 megapixels. It's not a great hybrid because it only takes 10 megapixel stills, but it is really solid. So, and then yeah, the color sense is out of date, but if you have Cinematch, it's not a big deal. Plus, you can get really cheap battery grips for it, third party, and you can double up the battery, and the battery life is crazy on that camera, even with one battery. Solomon says, thanks for what? I don't know. Oh, the G9 II comment. Yeah. So, wow, 112 views. How many likes did we get? 13 likes? Incredible. Anyway, yeah. Oh, Lumix Live is starting soon. What are they doing? S12 series. Oh, series less talked about features. Lumix Live is starting soon, guys. What do you guys think? Would this be a cool thing to do somewhat regularly before the Lumix live stream? That was kind of my idea. So if I'm free, maybe I'll do it. But yeah, how many viewers we have right now? We have 14. So guys, I'm gonna jump off here. I got some stuff to do. I'm gonna listen to Lumix Live. We'll see you guys over there. Again, please look at the GoFundMe for the guy over at Narrowband Channel. Like, he's going through it. He needs all the help he can get. I can't stress enough how much I would love it if anybody went over there. So just let me know if you do or don't, whatever. Yeah, all right, guys. Peace out. I'm going to end the stream if I can figure out how. It's probably on here, isn't it? This is it, guys. We're stopping. And, oh, wait. Yeah, then we can go all in on the chat and push the Lumix for a small MFT body. Adid Jose. Hey, Adid.